So what is a dungeon master? Dungeon masters are the creative force behind every Dungeons & Dragons game. They bring the world to life, acting as narrator and referee whilst embodying every character the players meet. It's a DM's job to ensure that the adventure remains engaging and enjoyable for everyone involved. Being a great DM requires a mix of creativity, communication, adaptability, quick thinking, among a lot of other skills. But above all, it's really about just having fun and sharing that experience with your friends. Ooh, let's look at the pretty picture. Dungeon mastering takes a lot of work, but it's so fun and it's so rewarding, and honestly, it's so worth it. It really is. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I've learned an awful lot from them. I hope you will as well. In this guide, I'll delve into various aspects of being a dungeon master and offer tips to make your games memorable and enjoyable for everyone at the table. And we will start with choosing your adventure, homebrew or pre-written. World building and campaign writing is really fun. Honestly, it's what drew me to DMing in the first place. I've always had stories running around inside my head, and DMing gave me the chance to bring my worlds to life and invite my friends to step inside. It's kind of awesome. It's not for everyone though. New DMs especially may find it easier to begin with a pre-written adventure. These adventures come complete with maps, NPCs, monsters, traps, and storylines, which really allows you to focus on learning the ropes of DMing itself. That said, if you're passionate about bringing your world to life, go for it. Just make sure you're prepared to invest the time and effort required into crafting a campaign, because it will take time and effort. Whoo boy! If you're looking for a middle path that balances creativity with a manageable workload, consider borrowing ideas and encounters from existing adventures and adapting them to your own world. It can save you a lot of time while still maintaining creative control. Breathing life into NPCs, monsters, and encounters. Part of your role as DM is portraying the NPCs and monsters, as well as designing and running encounters. I think that what truly makes a character, monster, or encounter memorable is when there's thought behind it. It can be pretty challenging to put yourself in the shoes of an ancient evil dragon and think about their goals and ideals, values. Yeah, it can be tough. But learning how to do this will make a huge difference in your NPC or monsters and how they come across to your players. It makes them feel more real and dynamic, both during roleplay and combat encounters. Also, challenging and interesting encounters don't always need to revolve around combat. Any creative scenario that requires players to adapt, strategize, and think on their feet will make for memorable moments in your campaign. If you want to explore this more, shameless self-promotion, check out my blog posts on how to make combat easier to run as a DM and how to make NPCs feel more believable. Mastering the rules and game mechanics. Okay, this is one of the aspects new DMs tend to find the most scary, and with good reason. The player's handbook is over 300 pages long, so it can be pretty overwhelming. Here's the thing though. You don't need to know all the rules to be a good DM. You really don't. I mean, yes, as a DM, it's your responsibility to understand and interpret the rules, but you don't have to know them off by heart to do that. Start by familiarising yourselves with the basics, such as turn order and spellcasting mechanics. Honestly, once you get those key concepts down, that's really all you need to get going. Over time, you'll learn more complex rules, and even develop a sense of when to bend or break them for the sake of the story. Adaptation is a key part of DMing, so yeah, go for it. Within reason. Remember, it's perfectly okay to consult the rulebooks during a session. In fact, doing so can help build trust with your players, as it shows you're committed to fairness and consistency. Embracing collaboration and player agency. A good DM works with their players, not against them. Don't get me wrong, you're going to be setting them challenges. And at times it will be hard, and when the plan isn't good or the dice go wrong, player characters may die. But you're never working against your players. You're always on the same side. With that in mind, it's really important to support player agency and creativity. You want their choices to matter, and for them to feel like they're telling the story right alongside you. A collaborative approach gives your players a sense of ownership and investment in the game. And beyond that, it just makes it more enjoyable for everyone. Wherever you can, try to give your players the opportunity to be creative. Let them surprise you and send you scrambling. It's terrifying, but good fun for everyone. Ooh yeah, navigating problem solving and conflict resolution. Yeah, DMs often take on the less than appealing role of being the person expected to handle conflicts and disruptive behaviour at the table. I find that open communication and clear boundaries are key to maintaining a positive and inclusive gaming environment. Be assertive when necessary, but be willing to listen, learn, and adapt when confronted with issues or concerns. Honestly, I genuinely think that 90% of all table problems can be prevented or fixed with open communication and firm but fair boundaries. I do believe that. That said, it's a lot easier said than done, and learning to say no can be really hard, but invaluable. Remember, as the DM, you get the final say. If someone's questioning your ruling, it's okay to acknowledge them and, answer their questions or just acknowledge their concerns. But then lay down the law and remain firm in your decisions. It's all right to say, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Maybe we'll discuss this after game, but this is what we're doing right now. It helps keep the game on track. Oh yes, Dungeon Masters and a duty of care. This is something I am a firm believer in. I really do think that DMs have a duty of care to the players at their table. It's our responsibility to ensure that our players feel safe and respected. Playing Dungeons & Dragons can be emotionally intense at times. It really can. And whilst you play the party's allies, you will also be playing the antagonists. You will be role-playing conflict and putting characters in difficult positions. This leads to great storytelling, but it can be challenging, both for yourself and for your players outside of game. Personally, I'm a big fan of checking in with your players after moments like these. Make sure they're okay and ask if they're comfortable with how the story is playing out. You never want in-game conflicts to bleed into real life. So, with that in mind, just always be prepared to adjust the content of your games to accommodate the needs. You want your players to feel comfortable, right? So be prepared to be a bit flexible with that. The key words here are communication, consent, consideration, and compassion. I reckon if you have those, then whatever happens at your table, you'll be able to face it together. Practice makes perfect. Like any skill, DMing takes practice and dedication to master. A whole lot of it. I'm not gonna lie, it takes a while to, really find your feet in DMing. And dungeon mastering is such a broad subject that there will always be something new to learn. I think that's probably why I like it so much. I just love that there's always something new to discover. I highly recommend you embrace the learning process by seeking out resources. There are so many out there in so many different forms. Podcasts, books, forums, videos, blog posts. So many things you can use to improve your craft. However you like to learn, someone will have made content that can help you. And don't be afraid to make mistakes either. They're a natural part of the learning process, much as we don't want to have them. They are part of the learning process and provide really valuable lessons for future sessions. Oh yeah. So, as a DM, you'll likely encounter more challenges along the way than I have time to cover in this post. These are going to include railroading, handling unexpected player decisions when someone accidentally blows up your campaign, creating immersive experiences, managing DM burnout and self-care, and conducting successful session zeros, among many others. These topics will be covered in more detail in future posts, so stay tuned. In conclusion, becoming a great DM is as cheesy as it sounds to say, a journey of discovery, growth, and collaboration. As the driving force behind your D&D game, you're in a privileged position to create memorable stories and forge lasting bonds among your players. I reckon, embrace the challenges, learn from your experiences, and above all, have fun, because that's what D&D is really all about. And remember, you do not have to be an expert to start DMing, you really don't. The most important thing is to have a genuine passion and a willingness to learn and adapt. With time, patience, and perseverance, I know it takes a while, but with those things, you will develop the skills and confidence needed to guide your players through epic adventures and create unforgettable memories along the way. I know dungeon mastering can seem super intimidating at the start, but please don't let that stop you. I mean, sure, it has its challenges, but I know you'll rise up to meet them.